Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, and all my NB friends. You are tuned to Sacred Voices on KGNU. This is Metro Arts. My name is Astin Lopez. I am the co-executive director for Sacred Voices. Sacred Voices is a nonprofit organization based in Denver, Colorado. We provide spoken word and poetry workshops to underserved youth in the Denver metro area, and we also host 2 open mics per month, one on the first Friday and one on the second Friday of the month. Joining me today, I have our other co-executive director, Briannah Hill. Bri, how are you doing today?
Hello, Astin. I am doing fantastic. I'm eating food, it's cold outside, and it's very warm in my house.
So what I want to do with you today, Bri, is we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, but so people can get accustomed to you, I'm going to play one of your poems, if that's okay.
Wonderful. I'm excited to hear my own voice.
Let's go for it.
I wrote this in June, July. When is Pride Month? June? I wrote this in June. So it's Pride Month, right? And Juneteenth and Black Lives Matter. Or can you sit on my panel? Tokenism, exhaustion, fetishization. Did you see this video of insert Black Death? Check-ins, not from Black friends. Check-ins, not from Black friends. Check-ins, still not from Black friends, not from anyone. You wonder if God is real or just the Venmo notification sound. Ka-ching, tithing, ka-ching, thinking of you, ka-ching. God currently is not available at this time. Here's $5. Ka-ching, I'm sorry that you're going through this. Let me know if you need anything. XOXO. You know these Black bodies had Venmos too. You know these Black bodies needed financial assistance too. You know these Black bodies needed resources you've been hiding under your throat too. I swear we love the dead more than we love the living. I pluck white teeth and white masks from out of my mouth, floss the white tears out of my eyelashes, and I pray for my family members who remain unnoticed. Hashtags you pray for a quicker quarantine. I pray for my family members still living without resources, still dealing with mental health struggles, still trying to make a living off of what is left of royalty. You pray for the bars to open soon. I pray for my family members found in suitcases at the bottoms of rivers. Yeah, Black trans women matter too. I wonder how long it would take my body to sink back into the ocean. If I dip my toe in it, will my ancestors try and save me? Watch Ocean Child try to drown themselves without an invitation back home. I just want to know where I come from. I'm tired of pulling people into my shores of caring, trying to make my body heavy for others to understand. But, it's Pride Month, right? And Juneteenth is right around the corner, and Black Lives Matter, right? And Facebook comments, can you explain intersectionality to me like Kimberly Crenshaw doesn't exist? Can I pick your brain for a second? Tokenism, exhaustion, no rest for the darker ones. Did you see this video of insert Black Death? Another Black trans woman has been, another Black trans man has been. Nobody is listening to what I am saying. Check-ins. Ka-ching. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and once again, that was Briannah Hill performing at Sacred Voices open mic, and we have Bri with us here today. Tell us a little bit about that poem.
Yeah, so funny story about this. I wrote this poem, it was like pre-COVID, which was very interesting to write, and it was for Pride Month. A lot of white queer organizations were asking me to basically write poems about Pride and what I like the most about Pride. And honestly, I felt like there was just a lot of racial tension going on during that time. I felt that, me as a Black trans queer person, my narrative doesn't get told a lot. And so I wrote this poem, and then immediately all of the organizations were like, ooh, yeah, we didn't want that. And I was like, this is all I have. You told me to write a Pride poem. This is my Pride poem. So yeah, that's why I wrote it. That's what it's about. It brings a lot of racial justice, queer justice, trans justice into the things that not a lot of people see. And yeah, that's what that poem was about.
Very cool. Yeah, I really like that one. Is this kind of typical for how you end up writing your poems? Like something happens to you and you kind of take that reaction and turn it into some sort of poem?
Absolutely. I feel like every every day something happens to me, and then I'm like, ooh, I have to write a poem about this. Like, if you could see my note section in my phone, like, there are so many unfinished poems that I'm just like, ooh, I can write about this, I can write about this, I can write about that. Um, but I think for poems that actually get fleshed out, it's either because I had the time or energy to actually flesh them out, or I was getting paid to finish poem, basically.
Gotcha. So you also facilitate a lot of Sacred Voices workshops for young people.
That
So
I do.
you're teaching them how to write poems as well. Is this something that you kind of pass along to them? This kind of process that you have, or do you have some other tips for them?
Yeah, I definitely start our workshops off with you should definitely carry around something to write and document your life with, or like have a really good memory about it. I feel like we as oral storytellers have a really good track record of keeping, the instances or interactions that we have. But how do you put that onto paper and make it sound more than what it actually is? How do you put that onto paper and make a whole new story about it, make a whole new world about it? And so for young people, when I get in front of them, I'm really just like, your voice needs to be documented, your experiences need to be documented, and this workshop is the starting ground for you. So carry this journal around, open up your notepad of your phone section, and just write about what you see in the world.
And that seems like a fairly typical thing for artists to do, but I'm guessing that for these kids, they have not had this kind of thing thrust upon them before. What is their typical experience with the arts?
Um, with the arts, it's very interesting. I think I can only speak to like with poetry. I feel like with music and like different visual types of art, they're a little bit more lenient into like doing it, and creating and being a little bit more uncomfortable in that aspect. But when it comes to poetry, they're like, oh crap, I have to write about what's happening to me, or I have to write about what like inspires me. And I think that writing aspect really scares them, but I also think that writing aspect really inspires them to kind of take control, in an instance where young people don't have a lot of control in their lives already. And so how do you take control in your journal? How do you take control on your phone? How do you take control with the words that you have? And with poetry, I start to see young people start to become a little bit more comfortable in who they are, whether they share their poems or not. Like after every workshop, I see a little bit more confidence being built within them. And it's very like fun and like fascinating to see.
Yeah, you basically answered the questions I was going to be asking. Like how how do these kids react to this whole program? Have you been able to see like over the years how this has changed for some of these students?
Absolutely. I feel like the first time I meet students who interact with us, they're very shy. They maybe don't want to be there. Maybe they're more defiant because they want to either, get kicked out of the workshop, or they want to be sent home. But as we're working with them more, they start to show their personalities more. They start to become more comfortable. They start to actually like engage in the activities, or even like give feedback on how we can make the activities better. And throughout the years, we start to see the peelings of that hard outside interior, like slowly like breaking down. And then you see these like fantastic young people like taking over the world, basically.
And what is the difference in what is happening in these workshops versus what's happening in like a normal classroom? Because I know that a lot of these students will go throughout their schooling careers constantly, like you were saying, acting up, trying to get kicked out or whatever. What's the difference?
I think the difference is that we, as an organization, believe in young people no matter what. And especially facilitators like me, or facilitators who we contract with, like we never give up on them. And I feel like I'm in the DPS system right now, and I see a lot of teachers struggling to keep up with supporting young people or having the capacity or having the resources to supporting young people. And organizations like us are really crucial and key because we can keep up with them. We can support with them. We can be with them during these really hard times, no matter how many times they push us away. Like, we have that capacity.
Very cool. Very cool. So you were head of another program that happened recently, the Speak Your Truth program. There was a summer program we had. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, my brainchild. Basically, the Speak Your Truth summer program was a mixture of three like top tier statements that we have as an organization. We have poetry, we have ethnic studies, and then we have mental health. And basically what the whole program was about is, how do you take poetry and art and history and start to heal yourself through that? How can young people begin to start self-love and self-healing within themselves as they're learning about their history, as they're learning about their culture, and as they're engaging in art like poetry? Poetry is a very intimate type of art form, and how do you sit with that and start to heal yourself? And so it was a 3-week program, and it was really fun and interesting to see, the young people interact with both the ethnic studies aspect of it and the mental health aspect of it, and then put everything into poetry. And it was a really cool time. I definitely wish that we had more young people, but we definitely have an opportunity now, during the academic years, to support young people. So we have a super cool opportunity where, if we have some poetry workshops given out to young people, they are automatically enrolled into getting mental health therapy sessions covered by Sacred Voices. And all they have to do is just attend a workshop, come in my face for a little bit and talk with me about what their experiences are a little bit. And then it's like, boom, great. Now you're enrolled in therapy, if you so choose. And so we very much so are giving that opportunity out to young people in Denver, because it's a hard time out here, especially in Denver, especially with all of the things happening in the world. And young people don't really have that access to therapy. So we're just trying to give that out. Hopefully I answered that.
You did. Yes. Thank you very much.
Great.
Yeah. So that's one of the programs that we have there. And something I was wondering that you could touch on, totally switching gears here. When we're thinking about the way that poetry is perceived in the mainstream, in terms of the arts and culture, just generally speaking, in the Denver area and in any area really, it's kind of a forgotten about piece of what we have going on. People will go to theater, see films, listen to music, go to concerts and everything, but poetry is really kind of left to the sidelines. So if you could give a pitch for maybe why somebody should engage with this form of art, if they're not currently already, what would you say to them?
I think the first thing that came to my brain is, do you want to laugh, cry, and make connections all at the same time? That's what poetry is. Do you want to be in a space where the atmosphere feels more intimate, feels more healing, feels more community-based? That is what open mics feel like. Do you want to have the opportunity to speak your mind in a space where, no one will criticize you, no one will give you a side eye or give you a weird look because you're talking about something that you feel passionate about or something that makes you feel whole? To me, that's what poetry is. Poetry starts to peel away the faces that we put as for safety. And then we're left with like the fleshy molds of who we actually are. I hope that doesn't scare people away, but you should come to an open mic and experience that.
It's a very intense pitch, but I think it's effective. If I heard that, I would want to come.
Yeah, can't ask a poet to pitch poetry because then it sounds scary.
Well, so I think what we're going to do now is we're going to take a listen to some poetry. I've got a few clips here from our previous open mics. We're going to start off with one from our most recent show. That would be back in October. This is a poem by Alex, and I believe this one is called To Sakura Square. Let's take a listen.
To Sakura Square. When I landed that tech job and planned my move to a different place instead of Sakura Square, I still wonder if I made the right decision. I remember the way to my tower's elevators had stains in its old red carpet and swayed when my sister and I jumped in it and made it bounce. I can still see the puddle soaking the concrete balcony, wrapping the penthouse, and feel the paper cherry blossoms rustle against my fingertips, toying with decorations I wasn't supposed to touch for a celebration I can't remember. I can smell the warmth of the concrete wandering out of the building's second floor, playing hide and seek in the shell of a community. Stores with green glass windows and faded posters in a language I couldn't read. For me, there's no better arts and crafts than under that paper Bodhi tree in the basement. No better formal dressing than without digging my toes into old green carpet as my mother ties my obi very tight. I know no fear more giddy than wrapping my fingers into a cousin's shirt and scooting close to avoid that god-awful duck, or laying on the long cushioned benches in the lower Hondo, which is probably haunted. I can claim no sweeter pain than the sting of my joints at Obon as I danced in the trees under the broken paper lanterns, and I laughed. I remember thinking one day that I'd live in the tower too. I'd move to the city for work, take over my grandmother's apartment, share kisses with a lover on those smoke-stained balconies. I dreamed of finally knowing enough Japanese to chat with the little old ladies who lived there, bringing friends to Pacific and showing them the little soup bowls, drinking boba at the restaurant that my parents got engaged at. I wonder if I had a part in your end. I think about the stubborn set of my bachan's mouth and the way her eyes shone, unwilling to leave. I remember opening up the piano to discover cockroaches scuttling across the keys, stepping over patches when they'd swarmed over the food she'd left on the floor, trying not to cry as my mother begged her to accept that she couldn't take care of herself anymore. That year, I heard the entire building had an infestation. I never heard how they fixed it. When the landlord sold the building to another company, I was afraid we'd caused a mess bad enough for them to give up. I still don't know how much a part that we played in your death. For you, it must have been slow, as the older community members passed away and my peers fled to California, desperate to escape the ghosts our elders still cling to. But after my grandmother left and the tower wasn't income restricted anymore, it was jarring to see how quickly people shifted from familiar monolid eyes and locks and dark skin to white women glancing at me and holding their bags a little tighter, clutching their bikes to them, clutching their purses to them, empty restaurants deemed shady even as newer ones with wider walls and whiter guests appeared nearby. I wanted to live with you, but I don't know if my shape would fit anymore. I ride to work, I drive to work, and it feels like I tear a line through downtown. I can feel the poison leaking through the seams of my wallet and my business clothes, bearing a name my people forget to use and pronouns they never remember. My family's hand-me-downs are a distant dream that only exists in avoiding brand names and pinching pennies. I look at the faces of the white outsiders with their tech jobs, dancing in their microbreweries and side-eyeing the people they pushed out of their homes and onto the streets. And when I look in the mirror, I wonder if there's a difference. Is Sakura Square's place in my history just an excuse? I can only live there now that it isn't income restricted. How can I place myself here when I only knew it on Sundays, had a home and parents, two parents to go back to, who are still together, never took a job in order to make ends meet. I wasn't present enough to watch a neighborhood be sliced into pieces and stolen. I don't know if I was old enough to help save Sakura Square and the rest of 5 Points, or if I was too afraid to learn how. In 2 years, they're ripping the whole square down and replacing everything to make it prettier, to make it more whole. When the rock garden with its pine and honey locust trees are upturned, when they pull down Reverend to my statue, what semblance of community is going to be left? Or did we destroy that when we abandoned the rest of 5 Points? In truth, the buildings were crumbling. They need to be rebuilt, and this is the best way. But I hear the way my elders speak about each other, about outsiders, about kids like me, and I know we'll still be in pieces long after the square is rebuilt. For better or for worse, my people helped build this state. We were a part of its history, and we deserve to be a part of its future too. But when they replace my people's second home, I don't know what will be left for my people to recognize. I kind of wonder if that's the point. Is this progress? Am I grieving a body that hasn't died yet, or torturing myself by digging through its ashes? I don't know if I'm ready to hear the answer. I was not expecting to cry, but I did.
All right, and if you are just joining us, you are listening to Sacred Voices on KGNU. That poem you just heard, that was To Sakura Square by Alex. Definitely a heartbreaking poem about generational trauma as well as gentrification. Bri, any thoughts on either of those subjects?
Yeah, first and foremost, I really love Alex, and especially in the way that they deliver their poems. It just like brings you to the actual space, which I find just always fascinating. Fascinating is going to be the word of the day for me. Also, just in terms of just like gentrification, I myself, as a child of gentrification, is very heartbreaking to hear. Like, I grew up in 5 Points in Park Hill, and to slowly see those two neighborhoods get gentrified very quickly is always rude to me, and always disrespectful to me, because I'm like, those are my neighborhoods. I grew up there. Now they feel very unfamiliar to me. They don't feel like home. They don't feel safe anymore, and so I like don't go there, which makes me really upset because I used to love being there. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I've never heard gentrification described as rude before, but I think that's weirdly a good way of putting it. You're kicking people out of their homes, basically. That's very rude.
Yeah, I just feel it's rude that like you're kicking out like mom and pop shops, where you're kicking out people who have lived there for several years for art galleries or for beer houses or for things that don't benefit the community that you've taken over. It'd be different if, you took that community and you made it better. You brought more resources into it. You brought things that community can use, but instead you use it for profit. Instead you use it for different things that don't even match the dynamic of Denver, the dynamic of 5 Points, the dynamic of Sakura Square. Like, it just doesn't feel... it's rude. It is rude.
Yeah. We have time for one more poem today. We're going to be listening to China Rain. They were the featured performer at our last open mic, and they're 17, is that correct?
Yeah, they're 17 years old.
We love featuring the young people here, so we're going to take a listen to this one real quick, and then we will be right back. So here is Anticipatory by China Rain.
This is called Anticipatory. Happy in my skin, I laugh. A rolling chuckle into a snowballing belly laugh. It shakes through my bones. Music to my own ears, I laugh. The eyes I got from my daddy squinting, letting stray tears down my cheeks. All the while we smile. A smile needing no speech to support it. Smile like Nat, the opposite of white America's frowns, as they saw us come back with fire. This is deep. This wordless expression is rooted in us all. You smile as you wore our skin for fun. A smile does not mean happy all the time. My smile does not mean happy all the time. All 12 of these muscles pulled back to flash a warning signal. This is anticipatory. I smile. I laugh knowing that your institutionalized racism will one day fall the same as that malicious smirk you so proudly wore. Past tense.
All right, there we go. That was Anticipatory by China Rain. We always love to see the young people starting their careers off with Sacred Voices. I believe they were at a workshop before they came to an open mic. Is that correct?
No, so I worked with China like as just like a co-facilitator at my other nonprofit job that I had, and China's just been on my radar ever since I met them.
Very cool. Yeah. You can definitely see the talent there and see the potential of many things to come. Well, we are quickly running out of time here, so let's look towards the future a little bit. What does Sacred Voices have going on in the future that we would like to talk about real quick?
Well, like I said before, we still have our mental health opportunities for young people ages 12 to 25. So if you are a young person, or if you know a young person who could benefit from mental health and also from poetry, let us know. Hit us up. You can find us on the websites. Also, with, the giving season coming up, it's getting colder. December's right around the corner. November's almost done. There's a lot of cool things that are happening in Colorado when it comes to supporting nonprofits. And so Giving Tuesday is coming up in a couple of weeks, and Colorado Gives Day is coming up. So just keep your eyes peeled for opportunities to support really cool organizations such as Sacred Voices. And come to an open mic. Astin can probably talk about when our open mics are. I'm terrible at dates, but I'll be there.
This month is a bit interesting because normally we have open mics on the first Friday and the second Friday. But the second Friday of this month, which is today when you're listening, is Veterans Day. And the venue we usually go to is closed. So we're actually going to be having our next open mic next week. That'll be next Friday, a week from today. I believe it is the 18th. And that will be at 2101 Arapahoe Street in downtown Denver. That is the same building that houses KGNU. We will be getting started around 6:30. If you are looking for more info on the open mic or any of the other things we have going on, please visit our website, sacred-voices.org, or visit us on Facebook or Instagram, Sacred Voices Denver. And yeah, we hope to see you at one of our next events. Lots of things to look forward to. Bree, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Astin.
Of course. And thank you all for joining us on this fine afternoon. I will see you all next time. Take care.